Alright, welcome back everyone to another World Pokemon Federation video for the Psycho Boost Division. We are here for the quarterfinals of the Psycho Boost Division. I am taking on my opponent, Fact Luigi, who was the overall 5th seed coming into the playoffs, and I am the 4th seed. We both finished the season 6-3. Pretty, I think relatively similar. I think he had a little bit less differential than me, but same record. And his team is very strong offensively, so it's makes a lot of sense that he made it this far. He has a lot of great pivots to get in his threat. So why don't we just hop right into the matchup on your screen, so you can see my team on the left. His team on the right includes Terrachiyu, Palafin, Sneasler, Corviknight, Lando Incarnate, Florges, Uxie, Frostlass, and Komala. Now, looking at this matchup, I really just didn't see any value for Komala against my Double Ghost, so I kind of wrote that one off. And Frostlass, I think its speed tier is pretty decent, especially especially as a Ghost type versus my 2 Ghost types. It's faster. I feel like it has a lot of good value. If he wants spikes in the matchup, he could obviously opt to bring that, as well as would most likely be a lead set. So I wasn't too sure exactly what he would bring. It gets Thunderwave, I believe. It also gets Will-O-Wisp, which hurts my team pretty badly in some regards. So I wasn't sure if he would bring it or not, but I feel like he can't really bring it. He can't fit it on the team. He'd have to leave off something significant. So I wasn't sure. I kind of just expect either the top 6 or Uxie over Sneasler. Or if he brought Sneasler, it would be like a Scarf Sneasler, and then he brought Uxie over Florges, which would kind of just eliminate Revavroom as a threat outside of using Corviknight, because Revavroom can't really punish anything else on his team. Maybe Uxie or Sneasler if it's not boosted, not banded or anything. Especially if I have Balloon or something, then maybe it could punish Lando. But I feel like he's gonna try and be anti-Rev if he can, while also being anti-Alecki, anti-Dragonite. But it'll be interesting to see what he ends up bringing. So I'm just gonna hop right into what I ended up prepping. I had an initial build for this, but I ultimately changed it the night before completely, mainly because I went on vacation and I kind of just built this matchup kind of ahead of time. I built the team a little bit ahead of time, and I never really edited it after I returned from my vacation, mainly because I didn't see... Well, I was kind of lazy, and so I waited till the very last minute the night before, and I didn't really like some of my sequences against his offense, mainly because I saw how powerful Terra Fairy Chiyu was versus my team, and I kind of knew that going in, but I kind of brushed it off. But when I actually finally did more of the calcs and how often it could get in, I really had no idea how I was going to beat this one, especially with how he could utilize his Corviknight as well as Uxie or even Florges, depending on what he wanted to bring. So, and it's not like Alecki was relatively strong into this matchup, mainly because I have no idea what the Palafin item is going to be or its bulk distribution. It doesn't kill Florges. Lando, it needs to scout out an item. It's Pasho Berry or Yachi Berry or Salt Vest. Even if I run a physical one, I still have to scout the berry. And Uxie can take a hit. He has a lot of things that naturally take the hit. You need a physical variant to be capable of hitting and killing Chiyu. Otherwise, you need a lot of chip. And if it's boots, you're never getting that chip. So I figured with my build, this is what I ultimately landed on. So as you can see, we have Dragonite as our first mon with boots. Mainly defensive. This used to be more Spadef, but then I opted to change it to my Sneasler kind of check. So it has a lot of defense investment for Sneasler, attack, and some speed with Extreme Speed, Thunder Punch, Roost, and Dragon Dance. It's mainly here to kind of just revenge certain threats like Chi-Yu, Sneasler, or even Lando, Palafin, or whatever with extreme speed. Thunder Punch is mainly there for Corviknight and Palafin, and then just the standard Roost DD. That's mainly what it was here for. I found the value of extreme speed to be useful versus like in a late game setting, especially versus like Chi-Yu and Sneasler. So I ultimately changed it to this type of Dragonite. Next, Screamtail, Eject Button, Psychic Fangs, Wish, Encore, Stealth Rocks. I mainly wanted this for rocks, and as you can see, my other rocker ends up coming not with rocks, but as you can see down here. But I needed something to pivot into Chi-Yu, so this is my like one-time pivot into Chi-Yu. In a way, it can also pivot into Palafin if necessary. That's why I have the defense investment still, but Eject Button I can switch, get in something. I would prefer to get up rocks at some point, so it really just depends on what he leads with. But yeah, Psychic Fangs there, just hit everything neutrally. Chi-Yu I kind of expect to Terra at some point, especially Terra Fairy. So it'll lose the Dark typing. If he never Terras, that's fine with me then. Obviously I can't really touch Corv and Uxie that well, so but that's kind of irrelevant to me, so I just went with Wish. Encore is good for any setup variants like Corviknight, Palafin, for example, especially if I want to lock him into something. And then Psychic Fangs destroys Sneasler as well. And it mainly was good for like any screens that he might have brought on like Uxie, Corviknight. So yeah, it was pretty valuable there. It used to be Helmet, but then I wanted a one-time pivot in the Chi-Yu, especially early game, to kind of scout out what his item was. So I changed to Eject Button, but Helmet originally used to be there for Palafin. But yeah, next up, Iron Hands, Assault Vest, just max SPDF basically with Adamant, Heavy Slam, Earthquake, Ice Punch, Volt Switch. This thing can take hits from special variants Palafin. It can take a Florges hit, take a hit from Lando I, but it's mainly here for Chi-Yu. It can take a non-specs Chi-Yu Terra Blast, like 2 of them. I think it's like roughly a roll or something like that. But yeah, Heavy Slam is mainly there for like the Terra Fairy variant, which I want to hit. And then Earthquake is kind of a good neutral to hit Sneasler. Well, mainly it is for Sneasler. And then I didn't run anything for Palafin this time. I just ran Volt Switch, since I can hit Palafin and Corviknight, and then Ice Punch for Lando, as that's the only electric immunity he has. But for the most part, I will be clicking just Heavy Slam and Volt Switch, and then Earthquake for Sneasler if necessary. Alright, next up, Scarf Annihilate. I figured in terms of how some of the sequences go, I expect maybe Uxie or Florges to be there, and I need something weakened, or even Corviknight, for example. If Corviknight came, or Uxie, or whatever's the check to like Revavroom or Dragonite, I figure I can kind of bait it with a Scarf Gambit Annihilate and kind of remove it from the field, which would open up my Dragonite or my Revavroom, especially if there's no Corviknight on the field. So I figured that's all right with me. So I just ran max HP essentially, and then like the rest in attack and whatever speed I needed to outspeed his fastest Mon. So yeah, that's what I have. Gambit, Gunk Shot, Ice Punch, Nightshade. Only reason I have Ice Punch in case I needed it for Landorus. Gunk Shot is good because I can use it on like Florges or Terra Fairy Chi-Yu. It's also non-contact, so I won't take any Rocky Helmet chip, which is good for Final Gambit. And then Nightshade was also a non-contact move that could be used to kind of chip things down and revenge something like Chi-Yu, Uxie, Florges, things with low HP. And yeah. So that's mainly it. It's probably going to be my lead. Unless it depends on what he brings. For the most part, it should be my lead. But Regieleki is my 5th one. Boots again. Terra Water. Primarily physical, with a minus SPDF nature. A lot of defense investment for Palafin, and the rest in speed. But we have Wild Charge, Physical Terra Blast, Water, Thunderbolt, and Volt Switch. This is mainly here to Kind of just punish Corviknight every time it comes in, with my last mon being Rev of Room with Parting Shot. It can also hit Landorus. Volt Switch is primarily free. I don't need too much investment since I'll just Volt on anything and chip it down. Physical Terra Blast is good for Chi-Yu. It forces the Terra. And if he's not like Terra Ground, I mean, even then with Terra Ground, or like Terra Grass or something, I should be fine. Since Wild Charge will cover non-Terra Ground or Terra Electric, and then Terra Blast can hit Electric. I guess Electric would be the most annoying, but at least I have Iron Hands with that, and I can run, that's also why I have Earthquake. But yeah, it's mainly here. Can take a hit from Palafin. I gotta watch out what I Wild Charge though, especially if he has Rocky Helmet Mons, and if he tries to sack like Corviknight, I can take a lot of recoil and put myself at risk of Jet Punch. Put myself into like Jet Punch range. So yeah. If there's ever a mon to be scarfed in this matchup, I do feel like it'd be Sneasler. It's the only thing that outspeeds a max speed Regieleki. So I gotta watch out for that. But I can't be too bent or hell-bent on that, because he could just bring like a setup variant very easily, or he could just not bring it at all. Like I think there's a chance he could not bring it as well. And then last mon, Rev, Black Sludge, some investment in my bulk, Adamant Nature, and then basically max speed, Gunk Shot, Iron Head, Shift Gear, Parting Shot. This is my Florges pivot. Like I said, my fairy switch-in is not amazing. It's just like Skeletor's Screamtail Rev, or whatever Aleki wants to be. So I need something for Florges to punish it, and then it kind of forces in pretty obvious Corviknight, which I can Parting Shot and abuse with like Regieleki. I could also get an Ape and just Gambit or something, especially if he sacks an offensive mon to that. That's better for me. But yeah, if there's no Corviknight, or if Annihilate can remove Corviknight, this Rev of Room can kind of just win as well. It just kind of depends on how much pre-existing chip I've taken and if he's like banded build. But yeah, for the most part, it's kind of just a more offensive build. Just kind of open it up with Ape, with Gambit, and then kind of just hopefully win with D-Knight or Rev, and then Aleki kind of revenging some mon. Screamtail, get up rocks, kind of just scout Chi-Yu's item, and then yeah, Hands be able to primarily also switch into Chi-Yu after Screamtail probably gets an item. But yeah, so why don't we hop right into the replay? Alright, here we have our replay pulled up. As you can see, my team is on the left side, or you can see the back side of them, but my opponent did end up benching Corviknight and Uxie. So 2 of the walls, and he did end up opting to bring Frostlass. So I thought Frostlass would be a bit tough for him to fit on the build, but I could see value in why he would bring it. He does bring it, especially since my team is, for the most part, primarily physical. It's probably some Wisp being set with spikes, so and especially with Destiny Bond. So I have to be a bit careful around what this mon is going to do to me. But yeah, no Corviknight is interesting. I guess he realized how much Aleki can kind of just bulldoze his team. But yeah, it makes me curious what his Terra type is on Chi-Yu. It probably could be Electric as another added failsafe to Aleki, depends, or maybe it's some other type of type. But I feel like it's going to be Fairy. It makes the most sense into my team. My Fairy resist is a Rev of Room. I feel like he has to bring Fairy, and I'll do my best to kind of put it in range. I have Volt Switch into Wild Charge for Chi-Yu on my Aleki, so I think I should be okay for the most part. But yeah, but looking at this team, there was no Corv, so I was kind of fearing a lead Frostlass. So I deviated away from my lead Annihilate since I can't Final Gambit that. And so, yeah, I kind of just changed my lead up. I ended up leading Aleki here, as he does lead his Frostlass. And I did that because, again, I do not want to lead Annihilate. I don't have U-turn, and I don't know what his item is. So right away, I could just scout to see if he is like Scarf of some kind. So I don't do that, and I click Volt Switch. Mainly because I feel like if it is lead, he's going to lead with spikes, and that's what he's going to click here. So I click Volt Switch to break the sash so I can revenge it with Alecki later. My initial plan versus this was just to go Alecki, Volt, hard hands, click Volt Switch again with hands, and then go back into Alecki. So I go into my Iron Hands here, but he opts not to click Spikes, and he clicks Will-O-Wisp, which is really annoying because it makes this Mon way less impactful offensively versus this team, and it kind of just forces me to use it as like a sack or a Volt Switch pivot, and I won't really be outputting great damage. So he does stay in and click Spikes, as I do go for the Volt Switch here. He does confirm to be Cursed Body. So yeah, I end up going to Alecki here, and now it came down to debate whether I wanted to click Volt Switch and kind of get a reset here, but sorry, the spike wasn't showing up. That was bothering me. But yeah, I could click Volt Switch here and kind of reset my positioning and get in something like Scream Tail if I wanted to get up like my Stealth Rocks or something. But I wasn't sure if he would save this or not. It's out of range of rocks at 26%, so he could make a hard pivot into like Florges or into Landorus or something. So I went with the more neutral play, and as you can see, he went with Florges here, as I Terra here, and I go for Terra Blast Water, and we can see that does 36%. So it looks like it's just max defense, and it shows no item. So I'm like, it might be Rocky Helmet. So I wasn't too sure. So I opt to just go for Volt Switch here, and I get a nice 19% off, but this thing's at half, so it's either going to click Wish or it's going to click Synthesis, so I can get my Rivaroom in for free. So I decide to go into my Rev here, and as you see, he actually clicks Trick and passes me a Choice Scarf while taking the Black Sludge. So he's taking some damage here for himself, but my Rev now is a Choice Scarf, which really severely hinders my ability to win with it, because now I can no longer shift gear, and it's actually really bad for me because there is no Corviknight on this team. So the fact that this Mon got tricked was really bad for me. I could have easily gone into like Scream Tail, because if you clicked like Wish or Synth or whatever, I could have Encored him and got up my rocks. But if he clicked Wish, I didn't want him passing it into Frostlass on me clicking like a passive Encore or Stealth Rocks or something. So because Frostlass was already annoying to break down, now that he has Spikes up, it's even more annoying. So I went Rev just because it was my primary pivot to Florges. He had seen it before being used that way, so he caught me with the trick, so it's really unfortunate. So at this point, I have to debate whether I want to stay in or not. I could click Parting Shot here and reset. I don't know what the Florges is going to click, but it's probably just going to click Moonblast, so I don't really want to switch into that. I figure he's going to sack it, so I just go for Iron Head here. And yeah, he stays in and he sacks it. At this point, I kind of expect him to go into Palafin. Gives him a free chance to get a 0 to hero to activate, and then he can double out into like Chi-Yu or something, or just flip turn if he has it. So yeah, but he opts not to go into his Palafin. He goes hard Chi-Yu. So he doesn't, I guess he doesn't want me to allow me a chance to make a double like that, so he goes into Chi-Yu instead. I need to scout this item. I have no idea what his Terra type is yet, so I go into my Scream Tail. It's our dedicated first initial pivot, but he goes for Overheat, and that does a lot of damage, and we eject out, and I have no idea what his item is. I really don't, because I wasn't sure if Eject Pack worked, or it showed itself before you fully eject button out. I figure based off speed tiers, I'm faster than him, so my eject button was first, and if he is eject pack, he would be forced out. I didn't know the mechanic, because I haven't dealt with that scenario in a while, if at all. So I could go Alecki here and try to just force him to Terra, and I can Volt Switch. But again, I don't know if he's like Terra Ground or something, nor like Terra Electric. And I don't want to just Terra Blast, have him stay in, and then just kill me, because even at -2, a neutral hit is still probably going to bot me since I'm minus spin up nature and I have no like HP investment. So the other save option would have been to go into Dragonite, but again, I don't know if he's like Wisp or Taunt or like Ruination or whatever. Like again, I have no idea what his set is. I have no idea what his type is. I could go into Hands, but again, Hands is burned, and he could easily just go into Landorus, or he can just sack Frostlass and get like a cursed body off. So it is kind of annoying for me. So I figured I can just go into Rev here, because again, I don't know what his item is. I feel like his item would just be Boots. And if he was Terra Fairy, the only other item I considered him bringing would be like Specs, and this was not Specs damage. I would have died if it was Specs. So I opt to go into Rev here, mainly because he did trick me the Scarf, so I should be faster than him, and I can get off a free Parting Shot, and I would put him at -3. If he opts to stay in, I could go into my Hands. If he opts to switch, I will get the momentum with my Parting Shot. And yeah, so I go for Parting Shot here, but he opts to stay in and he reveals Choice Scarf. And yeah, he goes for Overheat. Even at -2 with Filter, I'm pretty sure it was a damage roll versus Rev of some kind. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it was still in his favor. I don't remember the exact calc, but that's really unfortunate. It told me his item at the very least, but I did not expect Choice Scarf Chiyu. I think that's a pretty wasteful item for this Mon in this matchup. Mainly because I thought the speed tier wise Specs just made more sense. He didn't really need Scarf. It doesn't even confirm outspeed Regieleki, so I really didn't understand Scarf there. I don't really fault myself using Rev as like the mid-ground pivot to kind of Parting Shot around it, but you know, hindsight is like, oh, maybe you should have used Regieleki or Hands or whatever. But I thought that was the best play, in my opinion. I really didn't see Scarf being that great of an item here versus my team, but he opted to click it, and he didn't Terra yet, so I'm not entirely sure what his type is at this point. At this point, I'm forced to go Lecky. I didn't want to go Dragonite because, again, I don't know if he has like Will-O-Wisp. I am DD. I didn't want to go Hands. And Screamtail can't come in because, well, he's Scarfed. So, yeah, at this point, I kind of just Terra Blast here as he goes into Frostlass. And as you can see, he gets a really fortunate Cursed Body, as this allows him to bring in his Palafin for free. And the reason this is annoying is this was not free. Because he was going to make this play probably regardless, but what this Cursed Body does, it prevents me from clicking Terra Blast, period. So I cannot prevent him from going Palafin and then harding out into Landorus. He's completely immune to this sequence. Like he can get his Palafin in for free, and his Landorus can come in for free. Before he probably would have just went Palafin anyways, but now I can't click Terra Blast raw. I want to click Terra Blast here because I know for a fact he's not staying in with this Mon. He would have never stayed in with this Mon, period. Even with an item, I feel like it's so wasteful to stay in. I would have raw Terra Blast, and I would have been able to catch the Landorus on the switch in. So it's really annoying that he did get this Cursed Body here, because I figured this was the play he had to make anyways. Go Palafin. So I'm forced to double to catch the Landorus coming in that I know is going to come in. So I switch into my Dragonite. It's my Landorus pivot, as he ends up bringing in his Landorus. Really unfortunate because I would have just been able to Terra Blast there, and I would have two-shot this. He would have been in a position where, at this point, if he had like Scarf Sneasler, he would have had to use it. Or even then, like maybe if I gotten the kill on Frostlass and he didn't get a Cursed Body, he wouldn't have used Palafin there. But then his Palafin would still be in Zero form. The fact that it's in Hero form is a disadvantage to me. So he brings in Landorus. I figure he might just like U-turn or something, or Rock Slide or whatever. So I opt to go for a Dragon Dance here. As you can see, that Psychic does 18%, it's like nothing. So I figured, okay, I can just It really just depends because he doesn't know what my set is. I figured at this point his Palafin could potentially be Wakanberry. I expected maybe like a Spadef leftovers for Alecki, but he's seen me bring mixed Alecki before, so there's a chance he could have packed Wakan. It covers Iron Hands as well. It covers Dragonite with Thunder Punch or like Thunderbolt. So I wasn't sure if he'd actually go hard Palafin. I wanted to like raw Thunder Punch here, but I wasn't entirely too sure. So I end up extreme speeding here because I don't know if the Landorus is Sash, but if it is like Pasho Berry or something, or it's not Pasho Berry or whatever, I figured I can get an extreme speed off on Landorus, which would put it in range of a Alecki Terra Blast Water since I needed chip on this and I didn't have rocks yet. So I figured that was fine. As he goes for Psychic, and as you can see, he actually gets a high roll there with his Psychic. Originally he did 18, so that should have done like 36, but he did 41. So that was actually a high roll, and that confirms to me he's modest. So at this point, I need to heal. I'm not going to extreme speed again, even though I figured he might just hard switch into like Palafin to kind of abuse this. I really wanted the Thunder Punch here, but I needed this healthy for Sneasler, so I just go for the Roost here on the very obvious Palafin switch in here as I go for the Roost. I do not want to take like a Bandit Ice Punch, so I just go hard on my Scream Tail and sack him. If he opts to set up, I have Encore to prevent that, but he doesn't set up. Great. I don't know what his item is, but at this point, I went in my Annihilate. So the reason I didn't go Alecki here was if he is Wakanberry, he can just close combat or like Drain Punch me. Primarily Drain Punch, because if I click, I could click Volt Switch or something and break it, but I would have had to pivot in again and like utilize Iron Hands. He would have been healing with Drain Punch. I just felt better to force chip with Annihilate and kind of just Gambit, because I don't think he wants to stay in and risk me like setting up or something. So I figured he might just like, he could swap, but I feel like he might just stay in and like Jet Punch, and that would get me chip damage, which I can utilize my Alecki on, and him not being like Wakanberry or whatever. So I just go for Gambit here. I do regret it a little bit because I needed to prevent him from having any more sacks to utilize my Annihilate. As you can see, he sacks his Landorus as I take the kill, and I go into my Iron Hands here, kind of just expecting him to go Chi-Yu. But yeah, I probably should have gone Alecki, because at the very least I can Volt Switch. If he opts to save the item, he'll swap, but if he stays in, then I can just Volt Switch, break the Wakanberry, and then I can sack off my Iron Hands in that scenario, and it would have been better for me. Or I can go hard into my Ape if I was expecting like the Drain Punch. The reason I went against it is because I figured Ape might force him to stay in if he had like Wave Crash or something, but he opted to just sack the Landorus. I couldn't understand that. It was kind of useless at that point. But now we're in this position. I don't think this is a very winnable position for me, since if he's Terra Fairy, he kind of just wins because he just scarfs it, and I don't actually outspeed and max speed Chi-Yu with Terra Blast Fairy, so he would actually just sweep me here. So yeah, I wasn't sure if he would even Terra or not, so I couldn't really Heavy Slam. So I opted to just click Volt Switch, kind of just to scout out what he locks himself into, but he clicks Overheat, which confuses me, so it makes me think he doesn't have Terra Blast Fairy, because he should have clicked it there. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to set up a Dragonite. Now, I could have easily clicked Thunder Punch here. It was very free to click Thunder Punch. I know he's Scarfed, and I know the Palafin's coming in. So Thunder Punch is pretty easy to click. So that's what I do. I click Thunder Punch. He is Wakanberry. basically what I was suspecting. I need to save this for Sneasler, so I just sack off hands as he goes for the bulk up here. And yeah, this is not the best because he can just Drain Punch it up. And this is not amazing for me because Aleki is primarily physical, so I don't actually have enough strength to kill Palafin here. So the sequence I have to go for to kind of kill this is Volt Switch. He's going to click Drain Punch, go hard Dragonite after the Volt Switch, then double back into Aleki on his Jet Punch, or his Ice Punch, I mean, and then I'll live the Jet Punch and then kill him with Thunderbolt. So that's my only game plan here to try and win. I don't know what his item is on Sneasler. I'm still assuming Scarf, but it's set up. Maybe there's a chance. Drain Punch doesn't do a whole lot. And yeah, I immediately click Aleki here as I expect the Ice Punch to come through. It still does a crap ton of damage. Jet Punch shouldn't kill me here. It doesn't. I click Bolt. I believe I clicked Thunderbolt. Yeah, I clicked Thunderbolt. I debated clicking Volt Switch there, but yeah, I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do if I wanted to get in Dragonite. Again, he could have easily just been like Terra Fairy or something. Hindsight, I should have clicked Volt Switch. But again, it didn't really matter because the positioning would have been the same at the end here. Because he brings in his Sneasler. I figured this thing has to be Choice Scarf at this point. I'm not going to scout it with Dragonite because if he U-turns like he should, he'll just go Chi-Yu anyways. And now it's just Dragonite versus the world. I still don't know if this is Fairy. He hasn't clicked Terra Blast. He hasn't Terra'd yet. And as you can see here, he actually Terra Darks. And it made me a little upset. I probably should have gone for Dragon Dance here just as a Dragon Dance here. I did like 38% or something like that. If I Dragon Dance and then got like a crit, maybe there was like hope. But I live a Dark Pulse here. I just hope for a crit. I don't get it. But yeah, he wins the game with Terra Dark Chi-Yu. I was very upset that he brought Terra Dark, mainly because I didn't think that made any sense into my team. But he told me afterwards he had Terra Blast on it. He forgot to change his Terra to Fairy. So the whole game he had been handicapped. So he could have just blew me out way sooner. But he spared me that embarrassment, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of weird. I feel like I expected the Sneasler and kind of the Palafin, the Landorus. The Chi-Yu being Scarf, I did not expect. I did not think that made sense into my team. But he said he was really scared of Scarf Annihilate, so that also kind of makes sense. But the fact that he didn't have Fairy kind of hurt him. Florges was tricked, really screwed over Revavroom. I think I had a good chance to potentially kind of win with that endgame. And then he had the lead Frostlass, which I also kind of didn't expect in prep. Ultimately, I have to just give props to Luigi. He played it very well. He prepped very well for my build style. He brought a very offensive build. I tried to bring a more offensive build into it, and I feel like I kind of just got outmatched, outprepped. And it kind of stings a bit since I pride myself on the building side of things. And this was like the first game where I kind of just felt, I mean, I in a way, kind of the strange game as well, but there were sequences to win that game I just didn't opt to take. This one kind of felt like he covered all of my middle grounds, and I just didn't have enough to win the game. It feels weird, because it feels like he definitely out-prepped me, outmatched me, and I just have to give props to that. It's a bitter ending to our season. I had high aspirations for this draft. It was one of my favorite drafts that I've used in the draft league scene. And it's a bit unfortunate that it had to end this way. But I'm still very proud of kind of taking on this new style of team. No ground type. Utilizing Terra Regieleki with a more defensive, naturally bulky, offensive type of mon builds. It's something that I prefer doing, especially having like reliable checks to stuff. But yeah, I don't know if I would use this style build again. I know Trick House is relatively similar, but Yeah, just mainly it's just unfortunate that it end this way. But I'm excited to see back Luigi's run through the semifinals. I believe he plays Hawaiian Shaman, and yeah, hopefully he can make a run to win the whole thing. Because it'd be nice to lose to the winner of the whole thing. I believe he won the division below as well, so he has a chance to go back to back in WPF, which is pretty exciting for him. But yeah, this is the conclusion to our World Pokemon Federation journey. I would like to return next season as they have some exciting aspirations there for their format. But yeah, I'll be excited to return. But for now, I'll turn my attention to Trick House and try to salvage the 0-2 team that I replaced. If you guys are excited to watch the rest of that journey, make sure to go watch the Trick House video I have out, and obviously the next one that will come out after this. But yeah, thank you guys for supporting all season long. I hope you guys enjoyed this journey with me, and yeah, I look forward to future seasons.